So we have the online working. We can start whenever you guys want to.
Start?
Sure.
Go ahead.
I want to thank everyone for attending today's meeting. It is August 15th, 2024, a combined meeting with the Huerfano County Commissioners and staff, as well as the city. So thank you everyone for being here. Topic today is the negotiations for the sheriff office contract to continue to, or not continue to, supply services to the city of Baltimore. So with that, do we want to give some background to some of the citizens, or?
It's really a workshop. We've been in these negotiations since the middle of 2022. We've done a couple of extensions. We need to figure out, from my end as a county administrator, I would like to know what the city wants to do. Do you want to stay with us long-term, short-term? Do you want to start your own department up? That's what we need to know in order to be able to give you an idea of what it would cost us to provide the service.
Well, I think logically, it's no bigger than Walsenburg in the county is. You're not doing the citizens any favors by running two. If we had to, we could, and there's some consensus to do that. We had planned on putting an initiative on the ballot, possibly to see if the citizens of Walsenburg want their own or not. And a lot of them do, but we got to let them know what it's going to cost to run it, and maybe they ain't going to want it when they find out what the price is. So we can maybe, I think it's too late for this year to get that on the ballot, possibly get that on next year. What we'd like to do, personally, I'd like to go long-term, if we can work together and get everything satisfied. We give the county a 14% increase this year to that 813,000, whatever it is. We were thinking we could continue that through the end of this year and then give an inflation increase at the beginning of 25 and the beginning of 26 and try to get something through our sheriff's term. Aren't you good through the 20?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's what we're thinking about, and things could change in between on if the ballot initiative does change mind, and that's going to take a lot of money to run through. And I think you're doing a disservice to the whole community by trying to halfway do two, but we'd have to work together.
Have you thought any more about what the increase would look like for 25 and 26?
Could you speak louder? I'm not hearing down here.
Inflation is what, 3 to 5%, something like that.
I would fact check that.
I think it's more than
Last
that.
year, yeah.
Whatever it is.
Yeah, sure.
If we could cut a deal now and get two years goes fast. That ain't that long of time. Give us a chance to study. We already done the KRW study and they give us all the details. We're probably looking at doing $1 million in a few years. It's going to cost us $1.5 million on our own. It's probably going to cost you that by then. I think we can spend a lot less than $3 million working together. And so let's say cost of living increase or inflation is 5%. Let's increase your contract 5% each year. I mean, that's like $50,000 a year. You'll be up to $950,000 by 26. So that's about, spilling everything out on the table. I think that's about our limit. That's where we're at now, unless we can get the voters to put some more money on the table if they want something different. We borrowed $20 million. We're in debt to do the treatment plants, both treatment plants at City Lake and the pump station at Northlands. Our payments are $1,316,000 a year. And we got some reserve money, but that's to satisfy bonds and borrowing. Plus we got some money, but most of it's earmarked for streets. And we've been in a kind of a mess these last few years, haven't done anything on streets. We need to do that. And that's where the money that we do have left is supposed to go there. It has to go there. If I had extra money, I'd pay off some of that debt. And so that's where the city said.
And the 20 million is for projects that have already occurred, not.
We're paying on them now up until 2047.
That's why citizens have, that's why they You know, that's when we had a rate increase of the rate.
Keep up with that.
Yeah, I wouldn't raise water rates if we could spend the money. That we're just putting that in effect now, so it's gonna cost more and we don't have it. I mean,
But you can't use general fund money. It's not a lot of it in the water and sewer fund. It's an enterprise.
no, the general fund is just for,
But those two pots don't necessarily mix.
no, well,
Correct.
our account. is a little bit.
As long as your auditor does it.
Within Tabor.
Yeah. I mean, for our end, the county runs on property taxes, and we're about to get punched in the gut again on property taxes. So when our property taxes drop, our ability to fund things drop, and I think you guys have seen the same drop in marijuana revenue that we have. We don't have the sales, we don't have enough revenue to cover anything more than what the county's currently doing. And that's hoping that we don't get hit with an insurance increase.
And we did get hit with an insurance increase. It increased by how much last year? 13%.
Thank you.
13%, which we had to go from having a skeleton crew to doing quite a bit of layoffs just to offset that 13% in insurance.
And there's an issue of service level here too. So if you're talking about keeping us at the same amount, we're talking about keeping us at around the same service level. And granted, we're budgeted for 900 in revenue for this year, so we're going to be taking a loss anyway. That's going to come to a head, maybe not in this year's budget for 2025, but it will in 2026 when those assessment rate drops. I mean, we can maintain what we can maintain, but an inflation
Our money comes
increase.
from the same place yours does, so.
Not exactly. I mean, we, if you guys are okay with the service level, we can be flexible on the price, but we can't have a conversation about wanting higher service levels when we don't have the manpower. I can't ask 15 deputies to do the work of 30.
And we have.
What is your staffing now?
Right, 15?
15?
I think we're. I'm left.
You should only be at 12.
No, you're budgeted for 16. You got one missing, right? One vacant.
How many short are
We're about 3.
3 of the 15,
We have one part-time person, so I would
just
say
12 and a half of 15.
Yeah.
That includes insurance.
there? No, not including me.
I think that's bigger.
Mhm. I think in the budget it did, but not maybe, I'd look at the number, those numbers again.
And you have applicants for those vacancies?
yes, but we can't fill them for what we're paying them. That's the problem I have. We can't attract anybody to work here for those vacancies because we can't compete with Trinidad, Rectone, Pueblo.
And we also took some of their allocations away and already increased that amount. So took a few positions away and leveled that across the board and still are having a hard time finding it.
So if the city of Walsenburg said, okay, we'll take back our police force, we'll figure it out. Well, obviously we won't be paying the county. What does that do to their budget? Because obviously your staffing doesn't change. So
Well,
what,
it's definitely have to change.
Yeah, we lost some amount.
We originally had 11 officers, 12 with me. We increased it to 22, I believe, when we first took the city. But trying to get our salaries up to even attract people, we've cut our positions down, so we had extra money to pay them. So like I said, we're allotted 16 or 17 maybe with me.
Mhm.
So yeah, we would have to lay some off, or you guys could hire. You'd already have trained, seasoned officers.
Yeah.
And we think we could cover the county and the demand with that smaller amount.
With the 11,
Mhm.
easily.
And we did try to gather as much data as we could, so we can speak at your meeting and answer any questions you have. The reason, Sheriff Newman's here and different members of his staff, so if there are concerns with, the coverage or response time or any of that, we should have enough data to answer any of those questions. So I don't know if you wanna
I really don't think we need to, I'm satisfied with the relationship. We need to make this relationship work. We can deal with those things. No, but you're not gonna make everybody in town happy. You're not gonna make everybody in the county happy. I mean, you guys ought to know that by now. People are getting more and more unreasonable as we get older in society, as it moves on, but we read your budget shows you have 1,645,000 for sheriffs this year. You
Yeah.
said 900, and, like, you lost me there somewhere.
900 is the revenue we budget from the city of Walsenburg. You guys budgeted $1 million for it.
Well, no, I don't know how that got in there, but that should have been in there.
I mean, that's what you sent to DOLA.
And that was the budget number for 2025.
24.
Yeah, I don't see your revenue sources, but
That's, I think what I said Veronica was the expenses for the sheriff's office.
Revenue expense.
you're still
That's
1,645,000.
all
We're
of them.
paying half. You don't think half is, that's what's always been done and you've made money on it before.
Well,
Why would half not be a kind of a target?
sure. And this is something that we've been working on internally, but it's not half of the true picture. So it's not half of like, legal fees, lawsuits, insurance claims. And so if you give me a second, I can scroll here and pull up those figures.
Well, and part of it too, we
All in addition to what that budget item looks like, as well as legal fees. I know last year we were $250,000 for legal fees, almost all of which was cases that didn't go anywhere, but you still had to pay your insurance provider. So that was another $250,000. So I asked the staff just to gather all these numbers, and that's not including like your utilities, your IT, all the things that we take care of as a county that we don't allocate to that department, that we're trying to do a better job to get straight. We're blessed to have Kim, but she is now the fourth financial director in the past few years, so we're just trying to get that caught up. But it is much greater than 1.6. If you had to guess, what would that be closer to?
Let's don't guess.
So,
Well, I mean,
Give me a-
add these up.
So I want to be clear here.
Quick
There aren't real numbers for that.
Yeah.
Because we're talking about the county's insurance quote, the insurance fees, and they don't get broken out that tightly. I can break out workman's comp real tight as far as each officer's cost per workman's comp. For the general liability costs, I want to just rewind to 2021. Our insurance went through a complete turnover. Our CEO left in the middle of the night because of how the rates jumped. I mean, they projected us to be at 200. We were at 350 to 4, depending on what county it was. That was removing qualified immunity. That was all of the social changes that happened in 2020. And I've asked the insurance company to try to quantify that, but it's rough.
And we have those additional costs too. And we only got so much money to deal with. So
You guys are paying police insurance now?
Huh?
You guys are paying police
No, we
insurance now?
we have other ones, gas, you want to insure our gas department?
Oh, yeah. Utility insurance is
We're
easy.
not gonna get anywhere if that's the way to
So,
approach it.
question back to the expenditure.
Yeah.
Are those all sheriff department related? Or are some of them part of dispatch center, emergency services, and all of that?
Sure. So tasers, of course, yes.
Right,
Dash cameras, yes. Cameras and storage, yes. E-Force is, I mean.
Force is, that's only the portion that goes to the sheriff's office.
Right, and then the portion of Spillman, I mean, you don't need Spillman for dispatch if you don't have sheriff, right? So, I mean,
No, that's only the portion that goes to the sheriff. So
Oh,
the
this isn't
dispatch,
all of it.
the dispatch
368
portion
is not all of
is budgeted in emergency services.
Okay, so-
Like the jail portion is budgeted in the jail.
And then IT's hard, right? We have full-time IT, we had two, now we have one, we had to, budget cut one. But what amount of his time is spent there and it's a lot, so. You know, we know you did your study and you have your numbers, but there's a lot even that goes further into that of, you know, do you have a full-time, you know, finance director and payroll and HR and all the things that go into it, so.
You sent us a paper that said 1,000,006. So you gotta send me something else.
Right,
That's what I'm saying, we did not have data. to
So-
come into this.
There's a reality of how the county has operated for the past 30, 40 years
Mhm.
that we can't fix overnight.
Right.
You know, just showing those revenues, the lines right there was a 3-year battle for me. And I only got that little bit. So getting things to show the true cost and is completely redoing the county's books,
which we're trying to.
which we're trying to. But, you know, there's only so much I can do when, you know, as administrator, when we keep going through finance officers. Now that we have Kim, we're actually making progress on this. Because someone has to sort of understand what's what before they can start to change things.
Yeah, but you don't expect me to spend the citizens' money not even knowing where it's going. I mean, don't you agree we should have to know what all these costs are?
And I think a better approach,
Anyway.
I think a better approach rather than doing some 50-50 split, because that is rough. Because we can't really substantiate to you the full cost of the entire sheriff's department, because some of it's going to be a guess, especially on the insurance front. Until we can get the insurance and they can hopefully tell us a little more than what they currently provide us. I think we should do a budget by officer. You guys can look at the salary, the benefits, the equipment, the training, and the overhead costs, a reasonable overhead amount.
And just lease an officer from you, is what you're
And those
proposing?
officers would be dedicated to the city of Walsenburg and not leave the city of Walsenburg.
No, if you want that, that's gonna be a higher rate. We can do
Especially
that.
because you'd have to have more staffing, so if they're not gonna leave.
Well, I'm trying to understand like what
Yeah.
Carl was talking
It,
about.
it's a way to conceptualize the budget. So the reason why things are not split out sheriff city versus sheriff county anymore, is when I became administrator, one of the first things that my then finance officer told me was the whole idea that we can split a person 50-50 is not true. We cannot do that in our system. So what they were doing was putting all the new hires in sheriff city and all the command staff in sheriff county. It's not fair to us. It's not fair to you guys. It doesn't show the real cost of the expense. So the reason why it's all combined, if we're going to do a 50-50 split, I'm going to combine everything. If we're going to do, or some sort of percentage split, if we're going to do a split based on these officers are dedicated, the reality is we're too small to have anyone that's dedicated. Even when you guys had your own PD, there was times, and I don't know how long ago this was because haven't asked the folks that have been with the county forever and been here for all their whole life, but the city used to cover the county when the county was shut down at night. You know, there are costs that were always real, shared between both departments and oversight. That's just basic mutual aid.
Yeah, there were a lot more people back then. I mean, the high school graduated 120 and you had 30 at St. Mary's. Now we graduate 30. I mean, it's, there's not near as many people.
Yeah.
And there's less revenue.
Yeah.
There's not enough people to cover it.
Uh-huh.
So I think everybody's gonna be struggling financially.
Oh, yeah.
No matter what. I mean, I know policemen of all across the whole United States with all this stuff that's happened that's gotten nuts. I wouldn't be. It's like they're against them, so they gotta have more money to survive.
Especially when they're on their own for insurance.
But
and the-
we only have so much money to spend too, so with 3,000 people in City Hall.
Mhm.
So we got an aging utilities that need to be replaced, gas lines, water, sewer. I mean, we're in dire straits like you are.
Yeah.
So I think that for the benefit of both of us, I think we could share it and that'll help. If we both go our separate ways, I think it's gonna cost us both.
The inflation rate, June to June, 23 to 24 is 3.6%.
Oh, it's in the ballpark.
And I'm comfortable with five. I think we all
Okay,
kind of
we'll
were
go
comfortable with the five.
That's what you'd asked us what we wanted to see. I'd like to see the same as we were on at 24, because you've got the 14% raise. We'll give you 5% in January and then figure something out. I'd like to go all the way to 26 if you're comfortable with the 5 and 5. That's, you'll be up to that 950.
Mhm.
Right now, we're 813, so 5% is 40 some, it's gonna put you to 870, and then you go to 920 like that. You have the numbers written down. That's just rough.
It was 854, then 897, and 942.
We said 854.
854, 7, 897, 435, and then 942, 306. So that was with
3
two.
years.
Yeah, that was with 3 years.
You wanna still do that? Let's go on retroactive back to July.
Yeah, July 31st. right?
This year.
Mhm.
So, you wanna do that? We'll do 5% retroactive back to July 1st. That's when the 6 months ended, right?
Mhm.
So that'll put you at 850 roughly.
854, 7.
Yeah. And then you'll go to another 5% January 1st, and another 5% January after that.
Mhm. And I did
Shake
totally,
hands, call it a deal, go
call
home.
it another night. I did totally, just so you can have just an idea, and it comes out to 979. Just these expenditures for, the things that we've made out of pocket for, in addition to the one.
Yeah, I'd like to see that. Because it's 1,600,000 here and now you're adding. I don't know what you're talking about, but you're adding.
Sure, so all the things that we bought, so the programs, the body cams, I can list them again. The operating system for eForce, the body cams and storage, the tasers, the Motorola operating center, system, which is Spillman, and then the dash cameras, that added another 979. And then, of course, we also have the 250,000 in legal fees. So I just want you to know it's not, I love the increase, I appreciate it, but there's a lot more that goes into it. So I don't know if you have any room in your budget to start it a little higher for this year, and then talk about an increase.
So are
It's just-
those expenditures one time or annual?
They all have annual fees associated to them.
They do.
What are you looking at?
The major capital expenses on page 6.
Yeah, I'd have to see that.
Those
Sure,
sound-
Counselor.
Because I know you got like the courthouse deputy on here and stuff. The city should be paying for that. I mean,
The city's not
so
paying
if you
for
want
that.
to start
That's a
doing that,
great.
The city's not paying for that.
huh?
The city's not paying for that.
That's in your thing.
That's not what you're paying for, because you're not paying me 1.6.
That's what, I mean, what I seen in
But
these is
half
that's
of
what
it's
it
there.
cost, that's what your budget was to run, sure.
Yeah.
It's from the sheriff's
Part of
department,
what
yeah.
it costs.
And that's not gonna leave the sheriff's department either, to be clear here. So
But it's not, the city's responsibility.
you're not paying for it.
It's, your half is what I was willing to pay for, and this half is in there. But that's what I
So-
mean. If
so-
you want to start sitting down and doing all that, that's gonna take some time.
Sure.
Because I gotta see this.
So I can't access that. I'm not looking at it, but, I think commissioners, my comment to you is if we're okay on the level of service, you might be able to eat that. But realize that if things jump again, we have to do another 5K raise for each of deputies just to keep them staffed. It's gonna eat away at the county real quick.
So with that, you think you can still do your allocation of 15? Or are you gonna have to drop that allocation again?
If we have to raise salary again, we have to drop the allocation again. We're gonna have fewer and fewer
But if we
deputies.
don't have any unexpected expenditures, can we go to 15 on that budget?
Maybe. I mean, we're,
12.
I think there's some vacancies there that are budgeted for. So we might be able to. Insurance is the biggest unknown, but if insurance stays under 5%, we should be okay. And that's, if insurance goes above 5% increase, the whole county has problems, not just the sheriff's office.
Yeah.
But,
They seem to be able to add whatever they want to.
Yeah.
isn't that nice?
What you do.
Same deal.
Crazy.
Can we put some kind of stipulation in the contract saying that if there is these increases that come next year, that this will be relooked at of the 5%?
Mhm.
Or
Because,
decrease, yeah.
because if not.
Yeah, you can't
we
go
are
to
gonna
5%
be-
inflation when your inflation is 10 or 15%.
If not, we're gonna be in big trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we both have the same financial restraints, I'm sure.
With no relief in sight.
No, I
I
don't.
mean, the only difference here is we're taking all the risk. You got a flat rate. Our cost could spike, something stupid could happen, and
Well,
there's
back
another
in-
200,
back in
300,000.
2019 and 20, you made 30, 40,000 a year on it.
Made is a strong word, but sure.
You did. We paid more
If,
than-
if we want to keep on that track, how much money would we at if we kept on that track and kept up with inflation? We'd be over $1 million by now.
You missed the bus, though.
Yeah, I mean, the county is paying for everybody that misses the bus. You're gonna have another situation on your hands that you want even less, which is a broke county.
And we did.
I mean, there's a
bring-
lot-
Broke City either, Charles.
I mean, you don't. I'm just saying. We're trying to keep the county from becoming right where you guys are. I know you guys are trying to get out of it, and we do our best to help you out with that as much as we can.
And I think we made you a fair offer.
And just, so we did also pull like the sheriff office calls and where they're allocated to, and we got a new program to make this easier. And then we went into detail a little bit further to break it down. So I know Brittany spent months just trying to do an overlay of what was city, what was county, so we can have accurate numbers. So I'm looking at, but they also, I guess, but the sheriff's office called, so January 1st of 2022 to 8/16 of 2022, the sum of the Walsenburg calls were 3,947. The sum of the unincorporated county was 2,209, and the sum of Levita was 333. So it's
Yeah, but calls don't mean responses.
right, but
Do you have anything that says responses?
Like type of
No,
calls
and I don't think that's
And we've been
possible.
asking for that for a long time, and even at E911, we ask that all the time. I mean, you get a list of calls, and I'm like, so did we respond to all these calls? Did we follow up on it? Like, and nobody can ever answer.
We don't have that
Which-
kind of data.
Right.
with a really advanced program, they don't even get that far.
Yeah.
How about the FBI data that you have to submit to FBI?
Neighbors.
Does that break it down,
Yeah.
call versus response and?
No, it doesn't. It just advises the type of crime.
Yeah, based off. the template. And so, it's, homicide, burglaries, trespassing. So that type of data that we have to report to the FBI, based off the type of crime, it's search for that.
Can you share that with us on a monthly or quarterly basis? I'm sorry.
It should be publicly accessible.
It is publicly accessible
Okay.
from the everything. You put out your 20 times statistic.
So there's two systems to look at. It's UCR, is Uniform Crime Statistics. Or Uniform Crime Report. That's actually a completed system. Libraries has another system. The FBI has an identity. Neighbors is much more detailed than ours. So your detail in the type of criminal activity in particular, geographic area is much more detailed than libraries.
Thank you.
So I went through my whole law enforcement folder of everything, and the last report I have was 2021. I don't recall the last time you've even been to council or provided us anything, and there's no specifics. It's in 2019, there was a total of 557 cases. In 2020, there was a total of 1,004 cases. And in 2021, there were 757 cases. We have no data from 23. We have no data from 24. And, we've been asking this. The last report that I have that you provided us, Mr. Chairman, was August 2nd of 2021. And it had 2020 data on it and 2021 data on it. There was no drug arrests. It showed DUIs, it showed theft. Like, it's hard to process when we don't have the data. You have a whole string of data here that we've never even seen.
We just asked them to pull this data and they got it to us last night, but I was at a presentation that. Sheriff
I've
Whitman
been
gave
there
in
quite a few
2024.
times since then.
Yeah.
And then I have given you the information. I've still got copies of it.
I mean,
The last 6 months, I probably haven't been there because we haven't had a contract. And that was by contract that I be there. And actually, that's kind of one thing I'd like to ask you, what kind of information you actually want? I was given numbers and figures and people said, well, that's all that is numbers and figures. Well, that's what my report is. I broke it down. I told you how many burglaries, how many thefts, auto thefts, assaults. It was all broken down by crime.
I think that's all we need.
And if we could get that on a regular basis.
And I don't think you
like,
have
order-
to
Like, yeah, I
come.
don't think you have to come either. Like, just send us the information, send it to administrator. We have it, we see it.
And actually with the new report or the new system they have through dispatch, it'll be a lot easier to do.
I mean, we can
I
pull
think we
that
can
in real
work through that,
time,
like Carl
Yeah.
mentioned, as long as we're satisfied with the service, let's say we are. So leave that there.
but stick with this application service, you know, I just know that they are doing a really good job. We all have radios, we hear their calls, you know, been into their facility and know what they're working with and the type of relationships they have in this community and how much worse they've gotten with, the drugs and the mental illness and, you know, it's different times than it was years ago.
Not to mention your court system, so.
There you go. And where a lot of the money goes.
No, let's start at step one. Let's see if we can agree to something.
Sure.
And then we can work out minor preferences of what everybody wants and needs and.
And the statistical data is not necessarily going to come from Sheriff Newman. That's going to come from, you know, we can pull whatever figures you want. You give us a list of what figures you want when, we can provide that to you.
It's just, we get questions sometimes.
Within the system's capabilities.
Of course, we can't break it down like you are.
No, you got legalities.
So is there a list of data you'd like and on what dates and times and?
I don't think we'd have to go up to council and
Yeah.
see what.
Give us
Yeah,
one of the
depends
best
on
quarterly.
whatever they like to see.
Okay, so you're refusing the offer?
I think we have to go think about it.
Okay.
I think, trust me, a decision today.
Give
we're-
us that data in between.
Yeah.
You know, I think if we had a clause in there, if we agreed to a percentage increase, whether that's 5%, but had a clause in there that if we get hit with something substantial, then we're gonna come back to the drawing board and figure out how we're gonna work it out together. I'd love to see this initial number come up, if that's at all possible. You know, and if we do see the budget of $1 million. I think, but then, like, it wasn't, last year wasn't the first year, I think it was in your previous budget too.
We had so many capital improvement projects put into our budget that really skewed the real picture. We had like our gas fund being a negative 11 million and our water and sewer being because we had all those capital improvement projects inside the budget without the grant money. And so it was really difficult this last year. And if that $1 million price for the sheriffs would have come up, I don't know anybody on the council would have agreed to that. Because we did negotiate the 14%, Veronica and I, we thought we were sitting up to 813 this year. So
But you're at the.
Mr. Moore done that himself.
I know you
Council
guys,
was- huh?
and I know you guys are gonna get hit hard by the state for your stormwater system pretty quick too.
Everything.
It's gonna get really
bad.
Turn around, it's, we gotta have upgrades to the treatment plants. I mean, we're still paying for it. And then not long ago, we still gotta do some more work to them. So we're in the same boat the county is. You're gonna try to supply all these community services, cost money, and there's less and less people to pay the bill. And things are more and more expensive. Well, not many years ago, 2x4 was a couple bucks, now it's 10. I mean,
And it's, you know, how do you promote economic development and tourism when you have crime on the streets?
No.
You know, one has to be taken care of in order to help the other.
I don't see how these guys do it, basically. There's
I
no
don't either.
respect for cops, plus we have a judicial system that lets everybody go. I think you could have the best police force in the world, and your hands are tied. I think if you want to have a nice town with no crime, you better start looking at the actually federal government on down. I mean, the judicial system, and they're protecting people shouldn't be protected. And I'm gonna get in trouble saying all this, but these guys that do the job, they know.
And we have invested a lot of money to get a top attorney to help us
Yeah.
fight this. And we've sat down with Bill Weiser, Attorney General, just
It's
because
a
we need help.
social issue, but
Mhm.
it's beyond here.
Absolutely.
But we're willing to do all we can, but
So your projected number is about $1.5 million to start now.
that's what CARE that we said to do. After we're full-fledged going, that's what it costs a year.
Plus the startup.
Yeah, startup separate.
Is there any chance we can get this initial number up to like 900,000 and then a 50,000 increase to end at $1 million?
You can't deny.
Sure.
We don't have that authorization.
Right.
what we brought into what.
Yeah.
I mean, we of course want to save you money, and that would be a $500,000 savings plus your startup costs, which I don't know if they touched base on that. I have the report, but did they?
What's that?
They did.
They did? Do you have that figure? If you dig through it.
If I have the internet, I got the, we shared that report with you guys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have it here. I just haven't seen it.
on.
You did?
Yep. I guess we're doing this. I don't want to miss it from last
You said you're saving us money. By the way, we're giving you quite a bit of money to help do this too. Don't ignore that fact.
I
Yes,
mean,
but if we didn't have to patrol the city, we would just lessen our.
we still have duties in the city regardless,
Yeah,
but it's one thing to provide, like, I don't know, I've talked to Kim about it. Kim had a family member that was a part of the Walsenburg Police Department. The level of service was exceptional back then. And sheriff's departments aren't usually built for that. We got guys here that this one right here, I don't know when he sleeps.
no, I remember
You know?
back when Toby V. Hill was the chief of police and we had everything was fine. And then like all towns, we went through a streak of a new chief every 6 months. And
That's not part of the general.
That's what happened.
General fund.
I don't think it's anybody's fault.
Budget,
I
those
don't
are kind
think
of above and beyond. You can't-
what's happening in this whole
Right. That's the
United
part of the
States is
risk.
anybody's, none of our fault, for
Mhm.
sure. But we're dealing with that for that.
And we do have a lot of conversations about the difference between a city police force and a county sheriff's office. And I think a lot of the disconnect and frustrations is the level of service we talk about is wanting the level of service of a city police chief and city police force versus a county sheriff. So we're glad that you're willing to work with us on the current level of service.
Yeah, our problem is we're borderline having one marshal versus having a whole police force. You know, back when Walsenburg was graduating 120, say, there was enough people, but now we're borderline, how much can we afford a full police force?
Well, we got to think about the pocket. You know, you got the money to pay for that. You can expect that one person to deal with the package. That's the problem. So there's got to be a support staff. You gotta have enough officers, at least have air enough just for officers.
No, I know, we could handle a few. But what I'm saying is, if we were just 5 times our size, easy to justify a police force.
Right.
But we're right at that level where it's really hard to justify them.
I don't want to speak for the sheriff at all, but in my opinion, we're at the breaking point of just barely being able to provide services that require.
It's not a very big county either,
Yeah,
if you
it's-
look at it that way, yeah.
Right. We're at the bare minimum as far as staff
Right.
is to be able to handle as much as we can.
Yeah, there just ain't many taxpayers as there are in Los Alamos County or Denver County or.
We want to provide services. The citizens of Walsenburg are also the citizens of Walsenburg.
Yeah.
We care about everybody. We want to provide the quality of service to everybody. At our current staffing, as Ms. Andrea pointed out, we can reduce staffing ability in order to pay the deputies equitably. To pretty much what we have around the league average right now, so 2025, what they kind of do.
I think we're probably still below for salaries.
Yes,
I think we're still below.
we're still below the mean.
Yeah.
So we're able to increase the salaries to try to retain what we have and then possibly attract new. In an ideal world, we'd love to have going back up to 2022 equity, but obviously that's not possible.
I think if I'm reading this correctly, the cost to startup would be 1,633,905, so 1.6 million. And then it would be a recurring cost of about a 1.5 million year after that.
Sounds about right.
So I'm wondering if we could get that initial up to 900 with a 5% increase with, thank you. This is all that, we just asked them to pull data and they were able to pull it, so it'd be very soon.
What it cost us to start another one shouldn't have nothing to do with what we paid you.
Oh, it should.
Yeah,
Oh, it should. That's your alternative. You always gotta consider the alternative.
That's like bribery here.
No, I mean,
Oh, you're gonna have to spend yours, we'll give us
we don't want to put the gun to your head or anything like that, saying you gotta do this unless you pay us this amount. We're willing to
Saying
negotiate,
you're
but
spending $1.6 million and we're paying half.
that's,
How come you're
that's,
not looking
that,
at it that way? That's right.
because that's not the full number.
No, that's given.
I know, but that's not the full number.
250,000 for legal fees right off that, and that has been an annual occurrence. We hope to get it lessened, but that's been, every time you get a case in, you have to fight it. Your insurance,
$40,000 copay.
$40,000 copay for every time someone says, I'm gonna sue your sheriff's office for the way they treated us. So we're sitting at 250,000 in legal fees.
I'll just have to see those numbers.
That's what I'm
You
saying.
keep
I mean,
telling me,
again, I asked Carl, to send me these numbers so we have something to work with, something, you know, and that's what we had, that's what we're working with, that's all we have. And now, you know, you're throwing in all these other numbers. I don't even know where those numbers are actually sitting in your budget.
Well, what
Other
numbers,
ads.
Why are they not, why they're not sitting in your sheriff's budget so that we at least know what we're looking at.
I have asked that question several times, especially between September and December.
And that's been the hardest part of these negotiations since
Mhm.
2022, is that the information that you give us to review, saying we need more money, but then your budgets don't substantiate.
well, what
What-
numbers do you need that we can provide them? to
So-
you?
What is the true
It's gonna-
cost of running the sheriff's department, and what impact does providing city policing have on that?
Including utilities, IT, HR.
I would think all of that should be in your budget.
It's actually not, like utilities, the jail pays for the entire utilities and all the building maintenance for the sheriff's office. Vehicle maintenance, so what's in the sheriff's,
Department is totally separate from the sheriff's department.
Hmm?
The jail is a county jail. so
No,
that
no,
has
it's not
nothing
totally
to do
separate
with
at all.
the city of Baltimore.
it actually does. We can actually charge you for that if we wanted to. We're not going to because you can't afford it and we don't want to be that kind of bad guy. But no, the sheriff's department the jail is part of the sheriff's department, very much tightly tied in there. As we again found out, we had a conversation last year about getting rid of the jail. It just don't work. But the jail pays for all of that building expenses. And also the insurance, stuff like that. So yes, we should have a budget that shows the true cost of the sheriff's department. The county has never had that, and we're trying to get there. But again, that's partly why I prefer an approach that is the X number of deputies. And you don't want us to say they're dedicated to the city of Walsenburg, because that means that now you're liable for them to some extent. That could pierce the veil. But we do want to say that this is what we're accounting for. We're accounting for a captain or a lieutenant, a sergeant, and X number of deputies, and that's what the city is paying for. That would make it easier to conceptualize what you're paying for versus, what the entire budget of the sheriff's office is, because that is going to be a little bit nebulous, even if we get it down to brass tacks.
Now, all I know is you give us this, budget revenue expense report at the end of July of 24. Year-to-date actual is 878, so you're on your way to $1.6 million.
Hmm.
That's all we had to look at.
Sure.
And then, if you put separate Medicare, OHSI, all these other charges in here, why wouldn't you put the attorney fees and all that in there?
That's a question for 1980s people.
Yeah.
They're not here. None of us were in these
Where
offices.
did you put that expenditure at?
There's a kind of department called other administration. And it
Other
covers
administration.
all the shared costs
So
of
we're not
the
paying
county
you
general
under
fund.
administration. We're just paying you.
Well, clearly, but you want to know the true cost of the sheriff's office.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, that's why it's not in there.
Well, I
Because
don't
if I
think
gave you that, you'd be looking at me real crazy.
Yeah.
You already look at me crazy because I'm telling you that's not the true cost.
But I mean, it's safe to say that $250,000 paid in legal fees could directly be added to that.
Yeah.
It's safe to say any of these, yes, one-time fees, but over time, you're gonna add that to that. So we're not talking 50-50, and I don't even think 900,000 is gonna be talking 50-50, but I would like to hear what you guys think, but I'd like for it to be considered maybe at a meeting.
Mhm.
And we can provide whatever data you want, if you want, just understand, if we're giving you the cost of an IT position, we're guessing his allocation of time is 50-50 or 80-20. So there's no hard facts to show that, but we're gonna say what amount of time you spend and
I
here.
don't mind you guessing at about how much.
Same with insurance, who won't break it up for us. We can give you a pretty solid guess and we'll err on the side of caution. But we can provide you with those numbers, but I don't know that that's gonna change. I don't think that's gonna bring you from 850 to 1,050,000 or.
No. No, what would happen is with the resources we have, we'd probably be forced to try to figure out what to do with our 800,000. To be honest with you, versus going over 1,000,000.
Which is-
Right now, that's what, I don't know how, unless we go to the ballot and get, we don't have any revenue to pay for any more now. So we can't, we're already borrowed 20 million. We're already in debt on the water and sewer in the red.
Mhm.
The only fund balance we got is from the debt services and we have to set aside money for depreciation on all our things, and then the sales tax from the street paving, which we can't, it's gotta be used for that. I mean, that's where all that cash is.
And
And there's all the revenues spoken for. I mean, there's no extra in gas fund with water and sewer. We're putting this, trying to get the water and sewer back up and not lose money. So that's what we're saying. So we deplete that general fund pretty quick at the kind of numbers you're not.
And we don't have a level or amount of debt that you were trying to repay, but we had almost $1 million deficit that we're trying to close, and we still are on the cusp of closing it. So as these fees go up, it gets more and more challenging. And correct me if I'm wrong, but in the last 5 years, we went from 160,000 to our DA to 740,000.
550 something.
What's the increase upcoming?
Oh, well, we'll see what the Supreme Court says.
So those are,
And I know you're.
right. So that's, we are in the same spot where we're gonna start having to continue to do layoffs or borrow money as well. So by no means are we saying, this, we have the money, we're just not gonna budge. I think we're in very similar positions.
Yeah, we can afford what we can afford. I mean, I can't print money. The federal government gets to do that. We don't get to do that.
Mhm.
So,
I mean, we're not trying to put you guys in a bad
No.
strait, and I hope you understand that we're not trying to ask you for a profit to go spend money on anything.
Put it in different funds.
Yeah.
We're not trying to do that. We are trying
we kind of
to,
went to our max just to see if we could make this work. So
Which was 854.
for this year, which is an increase retroactive back, or got to July, whenever that contract, that 6 months was up.
Can
So you end up at
elaborate
942.
how what happened with this? You were saying 814 and then someone.
Well,
messed up and-
the contract we're on up till end of June was 813.
Mhm.
That's what we pay you.
Mhm.
Veronica come up with 5%
After
to
that.
start.
For the
So,
next 6 months.
so the next 6 months, you get an additional 5%.
Gotcha.
So you only get it for half a year. So then 25, you get additional 5% for the full year, and then another one the next full year.
Cause we did 14% January 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, we retroed that.
So it ain't like we didn't give. I mean, 13% is pretty substantial increase. That was $100,000 extra. So we're pretty well extended, is what I'm trying to say.
I also want to go back to something that Bill said a little bit ago. Part of our big problem is turnover. And training is expensive, things like that. And with where the department's at, I mean, Bill and Craig and so many of the folks that are standing in the back of the room and listening online have worked their butts off to get to a point where now we're at least to a okay number. But we're also saying that if we go back to another period where folks decide, all right, I'm not gonna do this, I'm gonna work for this much, I can go have a nice cushy job in Douglas County and make 6 figures. We're gonna be back to scrounging again, and that's gonna degrade the level of service for the entire community again.
And luckily, we've been blessed with people who are rooted here and they do it because they care about the community.
No, I appreciate it, and I think it's better off for the citizens and the sheriffs to have one bigger unit than to have 2 little ones. I mean, I think it's better. I would love to afford all we can afford, but it comes to the point where, yeah, if they require this much money, we can't afford 12 of them. We're gonna have to do it with 8. I mean, it's like if you're working in your house, if you only have so much money, you only got something with 20. That's what I don't know, but I don't have the answer unless we can go to the voters and possibly, if they want to kick in more money to have full-time, sheriff's department and full-time staff and for in the city, and everybody's gotta know that the prices have went up. If they watch the news at all, I mean, it's pretty obvious.
Go to the grocery store.
Yeah.
I understand that completely, and I just think that we need to be a united front. So when citizens come at us with, there's level service isn't there, well, your level of payment also isn't there. So it is hard, again, when we're so deeply rooted, we're meeting with Bruce regularly, we're listening to our radios, we're touring the jail and seeing how hard they're working, and then they're being bashed for the amount of overtime. Well, they were down 6 guys, so they truly slept with radios and uniforms. Like, it was really tough times. So
No,
if we can
I
have a
talked
united
about-
front, so we can say we
I've
are
nev-
satisfied.
I've
with
never
this.
heard anybody tell me that they didn't get a call answer.
Good.
Unless there was some major blow up somewhere in their Gardner. But other than that, all the people in town, all the business I know, they answer calls.
Good.
Yeah.
And if you need data, you let us know what you
Yeah.
need, when you need it, we'll provide it. That's gonna come from us rather than Mr.
I
Newman.
guess the bottom line is we're trying to give you all the money we got and you keep
And then,
tariffs going.
and
That's what
no,
I'm trying to
we'll,
say.
we'll do cuts accordingly.
Everybody's gonna be faced with that. I don't know what you do. Unless we go to the voters and get some more money, but man, the people in the community are strapped now. I mean, sales tax 9%. Everything's going up, groceries, rent. I mean, I don't see,
Water there.
I don't know how they pay more, but maybe. If it's that important to them, the reason for going to would be, you want all these services, somebody's gonna pick one. So if you vote it down, you tie their hands. I
Mhm.
mean, what are you gonna do,
Absolutely.
right? So,
You guys want to talk? You wanna?
Yeah, it just sounds like both departments are looking forward to looking forward to the point.
Mhm. Probably.
And the sheriff's department is tax reform, and just kind of also the outback in the county.
And sadly, it's triage, right? It's what part of the county or city needs the most help at the time.
Yeah.
What's the most important? The citizens, both city and county, need to understand that.
Mhm.
You may not get a call back, or you may not get the report you need because there's something that's more urgent.
I know there's days, I remember the days of the drug bust in Gardner. I mean, everybody's up there. I mean, if you want somebody in Walsenburg, they weren't there.
Right.
But I mean, you're gonna have that. And that's just,
And you have to do that for
Operating
safety, or you're gonna get hit with more lawsuits. And we are doing things internally to figure it out. We have people coming in, giving advice, seeing what we can change, how to work smarter, not harder, making sure we're protected, trying to lessen some of these lawsuits that, some of them are just bogus.
quit fighting with the DA.
We're trying. Got settlements today, right? So,
And we didn't fight with the DA, you'd be paying we'd be even worse. We'd be trying to say, let's contact with you guys to do police.
Isn't he up for election or term
He's
limited?
term limited.
Term limited, right? No, because, if you truly care about dealing with crime and making it safer here, it's got to start there.
absolutely. So we have one person on the ballot, I believe, running unopposed, in November, and he is, currently working in the DA's office. So that's next.
But anyway, that's not, nothing we can do to control that now, but
Nothing.
I think for council particularly, I think you guys, if we can get your radios.
Yeah.
Ride-alongs.
Go
Yeah.
visit the.
I think this is your,
Very.
this department is providing a service on behalf of you as well. Get to know them like we know them.
I'm not hiding the money. I've given you everything we got.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
There are some things that are more valuable than money.
And where do you buy it with?
Time. You buy it with time. All right.
Yeah, it's pretty eye-opening, incredible. Like they said, you get a radio when you become a commissioner and you're going, I don't know how to do it.
Mhm.
From the dispatchers to Sheriff Newman to the deputy.
No, you don't have to, I knew that, or you don't have to convince me of that. I'm 100% convinced.
Mhm.
Paying for it. And I would never do their job just because of what society has done and DA, how they act here. I mean, it's crazy. There's no respect, there's no appreciation no more. It's changed. You know
Take
that,
you on
Bruce.
board. Come on, come work for us. Challenge.
I mean, right now you're the chief of police, aren't you? By statute, you're in charge.
Who cleans it up, right?
And then,
Anyway,
you know, we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about Sheriff Newman also doubled up on everything he has to do for no additional pay. So he's set by statute. I don't know if it's even a possibility. But he, you know, doubled all of his duties for no additional pay and has for how many years?
This is
17.
7, yeah.
So I don't, could we at least get you to like 875 and see if it's within our purview? We can't.
No,
We checked.
yeah, no, you guys' salaries are set by law and that's it.
Okay.
You can go down, but you can't go up.
What you can do by contract. Or
Um,
there's even this, it's set by a certain point, plus it's several levels, isn't there?
the only way it would happen is we had to pay you directly.
You can resign and become a deputy.
The city could probably pay you that,
The 20,000.
Yeah.
And
but it's gotta come off of it.
And I have to, oh, so now we're talking 834? Gary,
No, we said originally,
854.
we gotta negotiate the 20.
And,
We haven't talked about
and I
that.
can say from experience from my time in the past 4 years, the reason the crew stays and dedicates themselves is because of his leadership. And the reason they hesitate to go, even when they're making 2 and 3 times more, is because of the camaraderie and leadership. So, there is something to be said about that too. It is a family and they're there to protect each other and they do a damn good job. So. And this wasn't his choice. You know, it wasn't his choice to double his amount of work since
If I didn't believe all that, I wouldn't be here trying. Trust me.
I know.
So,
Well, what do you guys think? 854.7, and then they could talk about 20,000, Bruce?
at least, yeah.
And you're okay with that 5%, but if something catastrophic
Yeah, we have to
happens,
have
we're
that.
increasing
We have to have
insurance.
those, yeah,
You have
policies
to.
in place. That's a good- But I think it can't be at the midnight hour. Sure, you foresee them, you know they're coming, like, let's have that conversation.
Absolutely.
Not like,
Yeah.
oh, we incurred all, like today, we just incurred all these costs for some we've heard that. So I mean, I think that the communication has to go both ways, like it needs to be open and upfront, like, it needs to be a partnership, because that's truly what it is.
Absolutely.
And I mean, since I've been on council, I don't feel it has been a partnership. And, you know, a lot of this contract was good for all of our times, except sheriff, of course. But, you know, and so trying to piece apart together what has been done has been hard.
Absolutely.
And I mean, I will be the first to, you know, I've done my research. I've seen other towns. I know where they're at. So, but we also have to look at the budget and what can we truly,
Sure.
where we can go.
Oh, there's no doubt we're all lower than the average. But so your budget.
And so you're asking us to consider 20,000 separate fee for Sheriff Newman. How does that help the county?
It doesn't.
They can't raise him because.
I understand they can't raise
Statutes,
him,
right.
but what I'm saying is
We would.
their negotiations are to help the county and the county's expenses or the sheriff's
Okay.
department. So what I'm saying is, if we agree to pay this money, how does that help the county?
Because we're tying his hands for the next 3 years and he doesn't get a say, and we've already tied his hands from 2017 without a say.
Yeah, and I
It
just-
sounded like it's the
I'm-
extra duties for having the town, is what it sounded like.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, double the duties, right? Like we're
I don't know about
50% of
double.
50% of the calls are coming from the
No.
city.
Double the budget, yeah.
Well, you know,
Yeah, you would be running less people, probably.
absolutely.
We can talk about this, that's. I won't let that be a deal breaker, because
But please let us know like what data you want, when you want it, what can help you understand this better, you know, how much you want to be involved, how much you don't want to be involved.
So
So
we're
we
all,
can be a partnership.
we're all agreeing today that we can look to the 5% effective July 1, we'll retroactive that back. And then we'll go back to council review on Tuesday. I don't know, Roger, if you could get that on the agenda or on
I can.
executive session
Yeah.
to have that conversation about the additional.
And
Is that what
we can't make a motion to accept that, but
it's a workshop then.
knowing that the allocations need to change, you know, we have to do what we have to do within our budget to make it work.
And I mean, we're both just working good faith. I mean, of course, with this one, and like I said, we're partners in this.
And I don't think this should be our only partnership. I think we should partnership on a lot, because like you said, it's
No, yeah. Too
twice
small
as
a county.
expensive to, for us to do the
Too
same
small of a
thing.
county to have duplicate everything.
Mhm. Yep, well said.
And we'll also talk about what information, yeah, the council that's.
With the 20,000, that would be a 7.4% increase.
No, on the wait, on this current salary.
Exactly,
On the whole budget.
on the whole budget.
From the last 14.
Well,
So instead of we went from 14% increase to a 5% increase, it would be a 7%, 7 way,
7.4.
Oh, I see what you did. Okay.
7.4.
but it wouldn't be a 7 year over year. It'd be, go back to 5 for,
True, but it's a gift that keeps on giving because you keep multiplying times that.
But the 20,000, my understanding is it's carved out separate. Like, we're not gonna pay another 5% on that, like, it's 5% on the 854.
so it'd be 20,000 for the next
Leave
2.5
that out of,
years,
leave that out of percentage calculation.
Correct.
not annual. And
20,000 and
Leave it to 1,000. 5% is 1,000 of 20.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, you don't get the percentage on it.
Right.
The gift it gets on.
so it'd be 20,000 per year to Bruce as a contract amount.
Let's start there. We can't make no decision here, but
Sure.
Let's start.
Thank you for meeting.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I don't think we do any public comment, do we?
No.
Yeah, sorry.
Did you want to, we had discussed possibly talking about animals. Do you want to get into that or save that for another day?
I think we just gave away the animal money that we might have had. Nah, no brand new services. I still gotta balance the budget with this if that's what we're going with. I don't need more stress in my life.
No, this is gonna stress us all out. It's not going through good times for sure.
That's what we do, right? We do with what we have. Yeah.
Executive session, Monday after next. Sorry, special session.
Mhm. Yeah, please let me know when you- another one, and then-
Yeah, just, if you ever come up with what your actual thoughts are, I mean, that's
We're working on it.
hard, yeah. That way we can give, it affords us the opportunity to keep track of what it's possibly gonna cost us in the future too, for our future budget. You know, you can't wait till we adopt our budget and we only got so much and then ask for a bunch later. I mean, it's not there.
Mhm. This is for us. Yeah, I got for them. For me.
Or do you want to email it to us?
How about I email you the actual data materials and not the, yeah. Most of that you already have. It's the letters back and forth and the contract in the first couple, yeah. So it's only a couple pages in there that you don't have.
And then we'll try to give it our best estimate of what it actually costs to run, just knowing what might be estimates when we break it down.
Yeah, and it's gonna be changed from year to year. There's some things.
Sure.
aren't-
We hope it only
Yeah.
will get
Mechanics,
and
one
we
thing
get
I
these every
want to
year.
think
That's
about.
really
You're not getting the car mechanic.
That's great.
You're not getting the car mechanic.
40,000.
I mean, it's just another expense for us.
That's too much
I know.
money to spend in-
Oh, it's not going to road and bridge. It comes back to you.
I know, you can't. recover
Isn't
your
it
costs.
where like a
We'll
fast
never
forward,
award you
we
that.
do step one, step two, step
For the mechanic?
no, for like.
Yeah.
Class.
Yeah, if you lose it, you
then you
lose
go
it.
step 1, 2, 3.
Right.
So while
But
you're
you
still
can
all
only,
gathered around the table,
but
can
you
I
can only
ask
do
one
the.
quick question?
Mark?
While you're still all gathered together, can I just ask one quick question? Just about the mechanics of what we've decided to do. You've sort of settled on the number. City is going to take that to the meeting on Tuesday as what? A motion to spend this sort of money or to approve an amended MOU or
Our next step is an executive session so that the
so
negotiators
that you can.
can talk to the city council.
Okay. Okay. And the next step on the part of the county then would be what? The draft said MOU that you guys have talked about here. And then decide whether to approve it. You won't have to executive session because the whole commission is here. I'm just trying to get a sense for what's going to occur now
Sure.
as a result of this meeting.
Or will we do executive session or we'll just talk about it in open session on Tuesday?
Up to you guys.
Well, regardless, I mean, what occurs, you guys amend the MOU,
Right.
you come up with another
You come
agreement, when it's gonna happen on your end.
Yeah. Is the new form of MOU okay with you guys?
Haven't seen
That's what I sent you a few months ago.
That one you sent?
Yeah.
it. Oh, that one?
Mhm.
Well, we have a new attorney since then, so.
Yeah.
we don't-
Didn't know that
Well,
was the
we
new
just
form.
hired there, so-
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think Hyatt was there at that time.
We'll send that to Hyatt. I'm
Okay.
sure,
Right.
I'm sure it's correct. But my understanding was we need time to think about it from what happened just now. And then they're gonna meet and we'll meet. And
Right. so at
hopefully
this
we got
point-
an agreement,
At
but
this
it's not.
point,
sealed yet.
it's too nebulous to even say that the numbers you talked about today are solid. So the path forward is go to your huddles, talk, and then come back.
And we'll try to provide some solid numbers so you know what the
That's what I needed to know. Just so I
Be
can
careful with that salt.
overstate what you got.
That's the way I
solid
got it.
guesses. We'll try to provide a solid guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, the numbers, the reason why those numbers we didn't send them over is because we had to manually edit those numbers.
I know.
We don't trust them.
Mhm.
So,
I mean, they're a lot different than previous numbers that have been provided.
which,
Like, there's
If
just
you're
a
on the
lot
million
more,
to 1/6.
no, I'm saying like the detail in them and the breakdown of them. Like, when we talked last time, the information we got was a lot more. Like, that was able to break down a lot of it.
oh, that was mostly me doing manual work, I think. This is when we did the joint meeting in the commissioners meeting room. Yeah, I didn't have, I had three
No,
less
when we
jobs.
had
did
it
the
with John.
executive session, when we did the executive session, all of that information that was provided.
Let me look and see, I thought I gave you the same thing, but let me look and see.
Didn't, that's why I was surprised. Because I asked you and it's totally different.
Thought I gave you the same thing, but okay, I'll work on that.
I'll find you what we had in that last meeting.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
send it back
Yeah,
to
I'll
us,
send it
'cause I
back
don't
to you.
know. I was thinking of part of it.
John was.
Neither were either of you.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
That was me and John and Veronica and Carl and
Robert.
Bruce.
We have the administrator too.
Yeah.
John?
Sure.
Yeah. Mhm. We'll look at them.
No, I think you're very productive. I think we're moving in the right direction. Is everybody stay positive and
We have the same position. It feels right down here.
ain't rocket science. We should be able to figure something out.
Mhm.
And we gotta take care of people. I mean, we have the same problem with all our utility crews and stuff. We don't pay enough. I mean, grocery store's expensive, the gas station's expensive, rent. People can't live on what they could 2 or 3 years ago.
And we do studies and we know we're low, but
Yeah,
how are you
We do
gonna make
too.
up the gap?
we do too, but I don't know how.
Wouldn't be responsible to do.
It's just hard to make it ends meet now. I mean, no matter where you're at, government, private, businesses. Tough.
Just afraid of that rubber meeting the road place.
Yeah.
Haven't been through it once last year. I don't want to go through that again.
No.
Oh, and it has effect on public assistance that's provided as well.
Mhm.
We don't get any additional money for that either.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had to raise our water and sewer rates. I didn't want to do that, but we didn't have a choice. I mean, the bank was threatening to raise our interest rate because there's a clause in the agreement. And another couple percent of points on 14 million. I mean,
Yeah.
you're talking thousands of dollars that it costs us. We had to satisfy that loan agreement.
Mhm.
And so we got to generate 120% of the revenue to make that happen.
Mhm.
That's why those reserves are there for that. It's just a hard job.
And off topic, we had Tuesday had a presentation by Dana with GMS, and Dana was successful in helping us get those infrastructure lines in Gardner, GPID. Find the grants, find the funding, build a capital staff and do that. I don't know if you've met with her, but she was incredible. Yeah.
We're trying to get some more. They're doing actually a 5-year plan for our utility infrastructure, so we can use, the voters voted to use a 30% of our capital improvements. Third for water, third for sewer, third for something else. But we have to have a 5-year plan, and so TMS is doing that. And we're probably going to start with the big lines out of the treatment plan and just gradually start working, getting that way. And hopefully some grants. The big mistake the city made years ago is they borrowed 100% of that money from grants. That killed it.
Oh, yeah, well, exactly, yeah.
Yeah,
They had to refinance the 2 treatment plants to be able to afford the next loan with it. Like, and that's what killed us. So that's where we're at.
You can't get grants now to cover it.
I tried, I went to the CRW or the, the one that lent us the money for the lake.
Mhm.
And, they actually give you guys in Gardner, they forgive a lot of debt, but it wasn't during construction. They said, once it's built.
We're trying to.
Sorry.
Go
I
retro.
may go, I want to still go try to, I talked to the guy on the phone, but maybe sometime in person I can find a way to. I said, come on, we're starting to this. We didn't use no grant money. We built it all on our own. Can you at least forgive some of this? You never know. Government now, it seems like they've got a ton of money for grants, especially in water.
Aren't you glad you're not Aguilar though? I follow on them.
yeah.
So I'd like to try to get some, but once you build something, almost impossible to get any kind of grant.
They can't like less than a percentage.
Trying, I'm gonna keep talking to them. The other one's a regular bank. They want to raise it because the interest rates went up. That's why they threatened this. If we didn't raise our rates enough to cover the 120% of our operating costs, they were gonna raise our percentage. And man, you know what a percent does to you on a lot of money?
That's it really quick.
Oh, it's done.
All right.
Crazy. Anyway, thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hey, working together, we'll make it.
I think so.
Yeah,
We have to.
Yeah,
yeah.
we don't have a choice, do
We all live here. We all grew up here.
Side question. Our animal control and the code enforcement officer